Now, in the executive branch of the federal government, their president signed an executive order that said you will have an insider threat program. There are some minimum standards and some guidance, but again, organizations are going to have to adapt that to fit them the best. Even on the industry side, we've seen that those who work with the government, who deal with classified, are going to have insider threat programs. But we work with lots of organizations that don't have anything to do with the government, and they're finding that they also need programs. Their board of directors may be requiring it. The idea of doing their due diligence and due care, that they should have some type of a program in case something bad happens, maybe it could reduce their liability. Most organizations have had some form of insider threat prevention and detection. They just probably haven't called it that. It's sort of a newer term, especially now with the government requiring it, that you're going to hear it a lot more. They may have called it an asset protection program or a risk mitigation program. But one of the things that we've done is we focus in about 7 major areas, not just the threats, but 7 major areas of an organization. One of those areas is human resources or human capital. So we have developed very extensive ideas on how the hiring process could work better as far as background screenings, the onboarding process, the offboarding process. We work with legal, so we have a whole area of things we recommend that the legal team would do and how they would position themselves better. Trusted business partners is another big problem. So you may have a vendor who's helping you, providing you services. You might have a person who's working in your space who belongs to that vendor. Well, if that vendor fires that individual, do they tell you immediately? Or does that person still have access to your facility for the whole weekend? So commonly what we saw is that vendors would fire their employee on a Friday afternoon and figured they would tell the supported company on Monday. Well, over the weekend, that individual still had all their credentials, could log into the system, could come into the facility and cause damage because that's the place they had access to. So we help organizations think about all of those processes, like I said, in about 7 major areas, and then come up with mitigation strategies for either at the very beginning during the hiring process, all the way through the person being an employee to the termination process and how they offboard them. Everybody has this problem. Every single sector of the American economy has had insider threats. When they go to build a program, we found that a lot of organizations started by buying a tool. So they bought a tool to put on their network, and then they said, well, we should build a program around this tool. We say that there are 13 major components of a program. Buying the tool is about step like 12 or 14. It's not, you have to know what it is that you have as critical assets, what you're going to do to protect them. What is your program's mission? Is it just intellectual property theft? Is it intellectual property theft and espionage? Is it fraud? Then you can decide on what kind of tool. Now, we also believe that insider threats are people issues. Now, you can detect a lot of the artifacts of what a person does on the computer network, but there's also lots of behavioral things that are not going to be on the computer network. For instance, their performance, arguments or problems that they have with other employees, the signs of their disgruntlement. So while a tool is a valid part for most programs, you still have to have all that behavioral stuff as well. And that's what we put in all of our research, both technical and behavioral.